Hey everybody, and welcome back to Autumn Leigh at Home. I'm Autumn Leigh. Today, I just thought it would be fun to bring you guys along and make a homemade scratch-made meal together. We're gonna make chicken noodle soup, so please follow along and we'll go ahead and get started. This week, my family just had a lot of award ceremony. It's the wrapping up the end of the school year for my kids. And on this day in particular, we just had a really busy day. So I needed a fast, quick meal. And this is what I thought I would have fun sharing with you guys is a scratch made meal made from home that's homemade, but kind of like fast food from the pantry. So today we're making chicken noodle soup and we are using the bread that we froze last week and using that to as a side item to join in on the chicken noodle soup. So here I'm just gathering all of my ingredients. These are things that I have either canned or dry canned. These in particular are egg noodles that I dry canned, I believe, a year ago, maybe a little more than that, as well as some chicken broth and some carrots. So all of this is from the pantry. It's homemade. The chicken broth in particular, I made with a lot of ingredients such as celery and onions and garlic and all the ingredients. Because I made my chicken broth with those ingredients, there are some of those ingredients I don't need to add to my chicken noodle soup because they were already in there before. If you didn't use those ingredients for your chicken broth, if you happen to be using homemade, then you may want to consider adding some of those to your chicken noodle soup. I did add some garlic salt later on, so it did add a little bit more of the garlic flavor as well as pepper and thyme. And those are all just seasonings that you can add to taste. There's no specific to this. It's whatever you're used to using in your chicken noodle soup. These I'm using what I happen to have available and what I happen to have at home already made and the seasonings that I had available. So I just added a little bit of garlic salt, some thyme. I did not measure these out exactly. I just did about a tablespoon, I'd say, of garlic salt and about a teaspoon of thyme. And again, that's to flavor. So if you needed to add more, you can add more. I believe I did add a little bit more of these later on because I felt like it needed a little bit more seasoning, and I did add pepper. Other than that, it was just literally dumping all of these ingredients into a pot. I put raw chicken breasts in with the chicken broth and allowed them to cook in that chicken broth, which just added to that flavor of the chicken broth as well. And then just added all of my other ingredients. Once my chicken breasts were slightly kind of falling apart or easily able to be pulled apart, then I knew that they were finished and it was time to go ahead and add my egg noodles. What you saw me removing a moment ago were the oxygen absorber packets that when you seal your jars, and I use a food saver to do that. I seal my jars and remove all of the oxygen from the jar, but any oxygen that may remotely be left in there that could cause the egg noodles to spoil for long-term storage, you want to put the oxygen absorber packets in there. And there's this whole thing of how many you should use and what size ones you should use depending on what food you're storing and that sort of thing. If you're interested in that, comment below and I am more than happy to go over what that looks like and what dry canning looks like, and we can practice that together as well. But just comment below and hit that thumbs up button and I'd be happy to help and share with that. Moving forward, I went ahead and removed those packets, poured the noodles in, and allowed those to cook in the chicken broth while I chopped up the chicken and then just dumped it right back in. The carrots I added last. When you pressure can carrots, a lot of times if you overcook them, they can become mushy and they're already very well cooked because of the pressure canning. So I added those last just to warm them up. I didn't add them in the beginning because I don't want them to become just mushy. I'm hoping to have a larger garden in the future, and one of the things that I'm learning is that not only do you have to learn how to garden, but you have to know what to do with the produce that comes out of the garden. And so not only am I utilizing this time to learn how to garden better and grow plants better, but I also want to utilize this time to practice preserving those vegetables in a way that my family will actually eat them. But it kind of goes into this rabbit hole of once I learn how to garden, then I need to learn how to preserve the items that are coming out of the garden, because not only are we getting to eat healthier, but it's also a lot cheaper to grow your own food than it is to buy it from the store. But then comes the fact that you also have to learn how to cook with those items that you're preserving and you're pulling out of the garden. So it's just kind of this cycle of
all these things that you have to learn that kind of complement each other. And so that's one of the things that I want to encourage you guys, that we are learning all of that here on this channel together, one thing at a time. And it can be overwhelming at times, but I'm already looking back and seeing how far I have come, and that's such a blessing. I'm really excited to learn all of these new things with you guys, and so we'll continue to practice and learn together. This bread right here is bread that I pulled out of the freezer, and it was bread that we had baked last week on our big meal prep bread day. So all I'm having to do is literally defrost it, which was sit it on the counter during the day to let it defrost. It was the easiest meal ever. This is what I would consider fast food from the pantry. Hopefully this gave you inspiration and gave you ideas. Seeing all of those empty jars on the counter is just really, it makes me happy, because it means all of that hard work that we did made it that much more worthwhile to preserve those foods, because we were able to use them. This chicken noodle soup filled the house with such a good smell. It made it feel so homey in here, and we really enjoyed it. I loved the flavor of this. The chicken broth itself made it fantastic. It was wonderful. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today here at Autumn Leigh at Home. Please like, subscribe, and share down below, and I hope to see you guys back next time.